Do you like wrestling? Do you ever watch wrestling?
No. Nope.
And The Rock said, whoa, 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 because I'm still standing here, custom made, brother. Woo! And I mean custom made, from the alligators to the Ole Cassini right here, Ric Flair. There's only one.
We're not the kind of guys that say, we told you so, but we told you so.
Yeah, no thank you from the Young Bucks.
Watch Wrestling with Mike Wellman.
You know who I am.
What's up, gang? Welcome to Watch Wrestling with Mike Wellman, the podcast that breaks down the biggest stories in and out of the ring. I am your host. My name is Mike Wellman. It's 2024 on the podcast. It's good to be back. It's good to be here. Hanging out in my basement now. We got a new podcast studio set up. I have been evicted from the ground level, relegated to the basement, but that is not going to stop us. 2024 on the floor here on Watch Wrestling, below the floor on Watch Wrestling. This is episode 71, if you can believe it, of Watch Wrestling with Mike Wellman. As I said, we are here to break down the biggest stories in and out of the ring. On this episode, we are going to be talking about the return of the great one, the people's champ, apparently America's champ, The Rock, has returned to WWE, and he doesn't know where to sit. So we're going to talk about that. We are also going to talk about the Royal Rumble. CM Punk is in the Royal Rumble. Cody Rhodes is in the Royal Rumble. Might The Rock be in the Royal Rumble? Has The Rock overtaken Cody for the main event spot of WrestleMania? We're going to get into all that, what The Rock's return means for all the major players in WWE. Not the major brothers. We're also going to talk about some AEW stuff. MJF's world has ended. MJF lost his AEW Championship at World's End in front of his hometown, his home island of Long Island. Samoa Joe is the AEW champion. Adam Cole revealing himself to be the devil, along with his henchmen, the Kingdom, and Wardlow. And we're also going to talk about the rumor that Mercedes Mone might be debuting in AEW imminently. Perhaps by the time you've listened to this podcast, Mercedes Mone is already making that AEW All Elite Mone. So we got a lot to get to. It's going to be a big year on this podcast, folks. We are just getting started. And joining me to go over all of this fraudulent fisticuffs, the man, the myth, Wrestling Fan Kris. What's up, Kris?
It's a cabal. It's a consortium. It's Watch Wrestling with Mike Wellman. And it's great to be back.
It is a consortium, and we are the gatekeepers of whatever this consortium is. We're not letting anybody in to the club. I am the industry plant on the podcast.
I always knew it.
Wrestling Fan Kris, he's illiterate, he can't read, he can't tell jokes, and his comedy specials are not even funny enough to be on Netflix or Tubi. So.
I love Tubi. So sad.
I've never seen a minute of, I don't know what is on Tubi. I had no idea what Cat Williams was talking about when he was talking about Tubi.
I don't really know either. I just know it's some streaming thing.
I mean, I got the context that apparently
a
lot of comedy specials are on Tubi, I guess. I wouldn't know. But that was a funny podcast from Cat Williams. If you don't know what we're talking about, you are late to the party, folks. But yes. Welcome to the show. Like I said, we got a lot to get to on this episode. Did you have a good New Year's, Wrestling Fan Kris?
Yes, I did. It was very quiet, and I went to bed at 12:01, just like it should be.
I had COVID. So, and on New Year's Eve, I was still trying to isolate from my family, who, spoiler, also got the COVID. So we weren't even in the same room for New Year's Eve, even though we were isolating. So it was not the most exciting New Year's Eve. in the Wellman house, but like I said, 2024 on the floor. Here we go. It's going to be a big year because now we have all this extra space for activities down here. And did you hear that, Chris?
There it is. I heard it, yeah.
That's what I was telling you about before the show, that there's going to be some loud noises
That's funny.
on the podcast. Actually, I'm going to be quiet for a second. Just let me know. Is it terribly loud?
I mean, I can hear it now, but when you're talking, I can't really hear it.
Okay. Well, we'll try to...
Oh, that's way loud. I don't know what happened.
Uh-oh. That's not good. I think it's the mixer kind of...
Oh, okay.
I don't know, folks. We're going to try to get through this. It's my heater. So, spoiler. I'm down in the bowels of the building here, in the boiler room. About to have a boiler room brawl, it seems.
Watch out for Paul Bear.
Yeah, he's down here somewhere, I think. Lurking. All right, well, we got a lot to get to. But before we go any farther... That's right. We need you to be kind, like, subscribe, and share Watch Wrestling with Mike Wellman. You can find the podcast on Facebook. What's up, Facebook family? We see you. We see you, Facebook cousins. Watch Wrestling Pod on Facebook. We are Watch Wrestling Podcast on Instagram. We're going to be posting up those reels when we hit up the indie shows coming up in the next few months. We're going to be leaving the house again. So you're going to want to follow us on Instagram to catch all those viral moments that we want to be the one to capture. That's the only reason why we go to indie shows, is to get those viral moments so we can get the views. And on X, we are at W Wrestling Pod. You already know where to find the podcast. YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, all the podcasts. Oh my God, that noise is so loud. What am I gonna do?
That's better.
It's coming in hot here. It's like I'm in a wind tunnel. It comes and goes. Is it when I move my body?
Yes. I can barely hear it now.
Or maybe is it when I start talking? I think it's when I start talking. That's not good.
It is when you start talking, yeah.
Uh-oh, hang on. I'm just going to go shut my heater off in the middle of winter. Hang on. What sweatpants gimmick? Yep, just turn the heater off. You know, it's a new studio. It's a new year. We're still getting used to things down here. But, all right, let's get into the show here. So, on the day one episode of Monday Night Raw, we got the return of a former WWE champion. And we didn't know who it was going to be. I was sitting in front of my TV. I didn't know who was going to show up. Was it going to be Stone Cold Steve Austin? Was it going to be Mankind? Was it going to be Kane? I didn't know which former WWE champion we were going to get. But I was surprised when the former WWE champion that we got was Jinder Mahal. What did you think of this, Chris, when Jinder Mahal came out on Raw? Did it bring back bad memories?
Yes, but for some reason, I don't know why I remember this, but I do remember this is probably like almost 10 years ago now, when Chris Jericho was returning and they teased a former champion coming back to Raw, and it was The Miz, and everyone was disappointed, and then Jericho came out in the same segment. So I was like, could they be doing this again? And they did.
I didn't remember that. That's interesting. I was thinking when Jinder came out, I thought, well, he can't be the guy, right? They wouldn't advertise Jinder Mahal. And then I started to run through, like, could it be a second guy that you wouldn't think of? And then I thought maybe it's Stone Cold Steve Austin. Because once Jinder Mahal got into the whole anti-American, speaking in a foreign language to make American fans boo, so you can then tell them that they're wrong for simply booing another language, even though you did it for that sole purpose. Once the whole American stuff started happening, I really started to think it was going to be either Stone Cold Steve Austin or Hulk Hogan. I really thought that.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
And then, I'm not going to lie, the moment I was Samantha Irvin in this moment, because I was sitting on my couch And I don't know if it was just the exact second that they hit the music. I just didn't think it was going to happen in that second. And then they hit the Rock's music. If you smell, my living room came unglued. Just like the building.
It was, for some reason, for all of our years on this show, doing a Rock watch and following the Rock so like strategically on Instagram and following everything he does and thinking it was going to happen, I just didn't think it was going to be the Rock for some reason, and it was. Yeah.
Speaking of that, weren't you on the Rock watch for that day? Where were you?
Yeah, I think he must have ducked me.
Did you ask him where he was? What town he was in?
He told me he was in Paris. I didn't think it. He kayfabed me. He got me.
Oh, he fabed you. See, that's the problem with these guys. Yes, The Rock showed up on Raw. He came out and he cut a promo with Jinder Mahal, which everybody thought it was bad. I didn't think it was bad. I wasn't expecting, prime The Rock, going up against like poor Jonathan Coachman or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I thought it was okay, right? It was fine. The one thing that I did thought was funny is The Rock can still deliver these lines when he's like, everybody knows the resting bitch face. And you don't even have to finish the line. Just coming out here, you could have just said Jinder Mahal has a resting bitch face. But I think he said it was like an angry bitch face or something like that about Jinder Mahal. But The Rock still got it as long as he doesn't get blown up, which also happened in that segment.
Yeah.
So we got a little physicality with The Rock and, whatever. He was out of breath. I'm sure he's going to, go back and run the ropes some more, to get ready. But it wasn't, oh my God, this guy is still on top of his game. But it was just, oh, The Rock is back.
Yeah.
But then, after all the bitch jokes, after the heel is dispatched, The Rock asked the audience a question. He wanted to know if he should get Chipotle or Five Guys. No. He wanted to know if he should go out and get some food. The Rock's hungry. The Rock's going to go get some food after this. Should he sit at a booth? Okay, and this is what I was thinking, because this is what I like to share on this show, is in these moments where I'm actually watching the show live and I'm reacting. I started thinking about the phrase tribal chief, because once he started talking again, I knew something was coming, right? I was like, please. Like, don't make this another one-off appearance, even though he was on, the football show earlier in the day, and which, to be honest, Rock Watch, Chris, you should have seen Nick Khan in that photo of The Rock that day.
Should have known, yep.
You should have been on Rock Watch and Nick Khan Watch. I'm telling you, Chris, if you let one more photo of The Rock and Nick Khan go under your radar, I don't know what we're going to do with you. But The Rock said, should he eat at a booth? And I'm thinking to myself, tribal chief. I'm thinking like, what is he going to talk about? Food with the tribe? I was not thinking head of the table. It was not in my brain at all. I was thinking like tribal chief, the leader of the tribe. I was thinking like, is he going to talk about the tribe at all? Or like,
yeah.
And then he just goes, or should I sit at the head of the table? And it got me. I thought it got me. I was like, oh my God, he's at the head of the table. Oh my God.
And that's why he's the best still. Even if his segment wasn't like A+ Rock, he still is electrifying.
Look, people say it all the time about his match with Hogan at WrestleMania 18, which was like 20 goddamn years ago, right? People say it's not a good match unless you watch it with the volume on so you can hear the crowd, okay? So even 20 years ago, The Rock was having matches that people said, if you watch it on mute, it's not the best match. And obviously, in that case, a lot of it was due to Hogan. But at the same time, what are you expecting with The Rock? I thought the second Cena match at WrestleMania 29 was good, but the first one, I didn't think was that good. So The Rock can have... But they were both these gigantic, like everybody was just on the edge of their seats for both of them, even though one of them I thought was better than the other. Yeah. So that's what The Rock brings to the table. He doesn't have to have a 5-star Tokyo Dome Classic, but hopefully he won't go out there and have some of these like late stage Undertaker performances,
I know, that's the only concern.
Yes, hopefully he won't, kind of show us. Hopefully he won't show us that, evolution has passed him by.
Yeah, I mean, before we get too far ahead in this segment, if he does end up facing Roman Reigns, though, isn't Roman a good person though? To like face The Rock, he kind of slows the match down. He's not as like fast and intense as he used to be, so they can kind of just like work slow and plotting.
Yeah. It's so crazy to me that The Rock comes back. Like, think about it this way. They could have done this match any of the past 5 or 6 years, because think back to The Rock raising up Roman's hand at that Royal Rumble when he couldn't believe the fans were booing Roman Reigns, right? I believe it was, 2014, 2015, something like that. They're booing Roman Reigns. They're booing The Rock, and The Rock couldn't believe it. They could have tried to do that match any one of those years where Roman was still not there yet.
Yeah.
And basically, at this point, it can't possibly be any bigger. Like back then, even when they were pushing Roman super hard, they could not have known that Roman Reigns was going to be the 3-year-long world champion. You know what I mean? And people were and he was actually going to be the top act essentially in wrestling. They probably wanted that, but they could not have known that they were going to get to this point where, you know, the company gets sold, right? They have all of these, it's just all of this mainstream media, like awareness. The product is super hot. Roman is as big as he's ever been. The Rock is sadly not as big as he's ever been because he looked a little small in there. No, I'm just kidding. I don't want to give him a complex. But basically what I'm saying is they could have pulled the trigger on this match years ago and it would never have been as big as it potentially could be right now, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Crazy. But we still got it. We still got it, hopefully, coming at WrestleMania, right? Do you think that's when we're going to see The Rock return to sit at the head of the table instead of a booth?
It has to be because, first of all, to your point, he was a little winded. He's a little gassed, so he's going to have to get into a little bit better of ring shape. And you don't bring The Rock in for Elimination Chamber, okay? Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, so that's one thing that we saw online is this year's Elimination Chamber is going to be going down in Perth, Australia. And so it's going to be a pretty big show, not Paul White overall. So theoretically, you could do any match, right, at Elimination Chamber, and it could be a WrestleMania-worthy match. So you're saying they could do The Rock. I saw that online. I sincerely do not think that's going to happen. I think he might be there, you know, as like either a run-in or something, but I don't think they're going to do that big match at Elimination Chamber. But conversely, if they are going to basically headline WrestleMania with The Rock versus Roman Reigns, because let's face it, there's no other match for The Rock, right? So do they still have the match of Cody and Roman booked, whether it be at night 1 of WrestleMania, or could they do Cody versus Roman Reigns at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view?
See, they could do that. I don't think they're gonna though. For me, the only 2 scenarios I have are either Cody's story is ended by The Rock, because by that I mean he doesn't finish the story. It's Rock versus Roman, that's it. Or somehow we get to The Rock versus Roman night 1, and then night 2 it's Cody versus Roman, and then Cody finally wins. And then Roman could say that he had to fight two nights in a row and one against the greatest of all time and all that kind of shit. But I don't think that's going to happen either. So I don't know.
That's an interesting one that you say, where instead of building toward Roman versus The Rock as the big main event, you get it out of the way on night 1. So then you can have Cody beat Roman. That'd be interesting. But could we be looking at a situation where, like you just said, Cody does not finish the story and The Rock has swooped in and taken Cody's spot at WrestleMania?
Man, I just don't see a scenario where that does not happen unless it's the 2 matches. Like I guess they're, you know, the company's bought, it's a new company, right? And you said Elimination Chamber's in Australia, so that's huge. So maybe every event's huge now. So maybe they can go with Rock and Roman then. But I mean, last year, Sami Zayn and Roman was a huge match that was like 8 months building too, and they did it at Elimination Chamber. So who knows? Yeah,
I mean, so they could do something at Elimination Chamber. I just don't think they're going to do The Rock versus Roman Reigns at Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
It's crazy how many options they have, though, right now. With Roman. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, sorry. I was gonna say, especially with a 4-way at the Rumble, so much stuff would come out of that. So many stories can be told. Who knows?
Yeah, so I mean, you got Roman Reigns. It's been announced he's defending the Universal Championship at the Royal Rumble against LA Knight. Yeah. AJ Styles. No. And Randy Orton. Maybe. No. Against
I guess
Styles, Orton, and LA Knight. So we got that match. I think that's a great match because, for one, they haven't done a lot of like fatal 4-ways. I feel like with Roman for sure. Yeah. And they haven't done any that I've actually been interested in that seem like they could be a good match in a while. So to put this as the championship match of the Rumble is, for one, it's just a good idea to mix things up because you could just do another one-on-one with Roman, but this changes it up a little bit. And two, it just also goes to show you how much talent they have right now in WWE that they could just take these 4 guys and there's not a hole anywhere else in the card. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think it's actually also a good match because it gives you a little bit. I mean, it's not going to happen, but it gives you a little bit of like intrigue to like maybe Roman doesn't get pinned and loses the title. It's like there's a 99.99% chance that won't happen, but at least a little more interesting than just one-on-one where we all know that Roman's going to win.
Yeah, so we've got a few questions coming up, right? You've got, could Roman lose in the Fatal 4-Way? Because that's always the allure of a Fatal 4-Way, especially when you have an unbeatable champion, right? It's like LA Knight could pin Randy Orton, and then the 3-year-long reign of Roman Reigns is over. So I also don't think that they would end this title reign in that way at the Rumble. Yeah,
I agree. Yeah.
But I do think that them presenting it as an option keeps things interesting. But then also, in the Royal Rumble, there's so many things going on now. In the Men's Rumble, specifically, I mean, is it a 2-man race here? Is it Cody and CM Punk as the only guys that could, conceivably win the Royal Rumble?
It could be, unless somehow the match at WrestleMania now is Punk versus Cody, and maybe they somehow match each other up in the Rumble and both get eliminated, and that's how that leads to their match. But then who would win the Rumble? I don't know.
I know who's going to win the Royal Rumble, and I'll show the people first.
Oh, there, yes.
Can't focus on his face. The Rockachoo is going to win the Royal Rumble.
If he gets a number, if he's in the draw, watch out.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think? So you're saying that, that's actually an interesting thing. If the 2 guys you think are going to win, Cody and Punk, eliminate each other, then at that point you're saying, who could it be? It's got to be either The Rock or Gunther, I would say. If, Gunther could win the Royal Rumble, that'd be good.
See, I kind of like that. I mean, we're just fancy booking now, but I kind of like that idea of Cody and Punk not winning and like eliminating each other somehow or whatever, and then Gunther does win, and I think that's a really fresh face to be a Rumble winner, especially after last year. He went like 62 minutes, the whole way.
I think at that point you got too many contenders, right? If you throw Gunther in there now, it's like on the show The Bear. You're firing everything. You're cooking all the food at the same time.
Oh, that's fair. Nice. I like a Bear reference too. I understand exactly what you're saying.
So I feel like Gunther, you got to wait. Okay. Because you got The Rock, you got CM Punk. I mean, Austin's not off the table. I mean, and he's obviously in our minds, he's on the table. In real life, we don't really know, but we like to. He's still walking, so we like to think he could still wrestle.
You're right. You're right. I think Gunther is more like a Money in the Bank winner, and he has that for like 9 months, that kind of thing. So you're right.
Yeah, or just, I mean, even next year, it depends what they do with the IC title and that, and all that. But so we're thinking Cody or CM Punk would win the Royal Rumble. But let's face it, if Punk wins, he's probably going to face Seth Rollins. And if Cody wins, he's probably going to face Roman. So in my mind, I'm still leaning towards Roman wrestles at night 1 and night 2. perhaps loses. I don't see how you can actually do it, though. How could he beat The Rock, right? Because he's not going to lose to The Rock. How could he beat The Rock but then lose to Cody? Or how could he lose to Cody but then the match with The Rock the next night is still... You got to get that belt off of him. If the belt is not going to be on the line against The Rock, you got to get it off of him. Then how do you do it? This is the tough spot that Triple H is in. He's got all of these options here. And obviously whatever they go with is not going to make everybody happy, but I don't know. Is there a right answer here for the game and DX as they're booking this?
So you don't like the idea of The Rock versus Roman night 1, even if the title's on the line and Roman wins, and then it's Cody and Roman night 2.
That actually seems like the best possible option to me.
And then you could kind of use like The Rock on night 2 somehow. I'm not saying he has to like interfere and cost Roman the match, but like you can kind of have him at least by Cody's side or something. Maybe Roman in the bloodline, like, you can't. But would The Rock allow the Roman in the bloodline to like absolutely like destroy him afterwards? You know, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think you need to use The Rock in that match. Like you could use him on the show if he's still there. But I don't think you need to have him be the next Solo Sikoa type guy.
Sure,
but
I mean, all I know is it's pretty exciting though that we have these kind of like interesting scenarios that could play out, because this is the second Royal Rumble in a row, I think, where it's been pretty intriguing.
And I rewatched last year's Royal Rumble. It was a pretty good match, the men's match.
Nice, yeah, oh yeah.
With, like you said, Gunther in the beginning, Cody in the end, and then they had basically a match at the end.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, lot of big stars. Hopefully it works out for them in WWE. Whenever there's this many personalities in the locker room, things can get a little heated sometimes.
Yeah, I also think it's a good idea that LA Knight and Randy Orton are in a 4-way match instead of the Rumble match itself, because I know LA Knight's popularity has it's not as crazy as it was before, but fans might be disappointed if he gets eliminated quickly, or if Randy Orton. And for me, I'm glad Randy Orton's not in the Rumble, so they don't like make him win.
Yeah, if you see Randy Orton in a Royal Rumble, odds are he's gonna win. No, it's not the literal odds, but that's what I think.
I'm still upset when he won the Rumble and then beat Ray Wyatt all those years ago. I'm still mad about that.
As good as we think, it's funny how some years it's just like then they're not the guy that year. Like Randy Orton is a fine choice to win the Royal Rumble almost any year, but just I remember that year I was just like, oh, this
I know.
This is what you're doing. It's funny how that works. Same thing with Roman. Everybody's had that year where it's like, oh, this guy.
Yeah.
A couple years later, it's like, that's my guy.
That's pretty funny, yeah.
But yeah, so we'll see who wins the Royal Rumble. It's going to be a pretty exciting WrestleMania season, I think, one way or the other. Yes,
and I mean, I know we can't top Sami Zayn in Montreal against Roman Reigns from last year's Elimination Chamber, but they really make all the pay-per-views, especially the ones that are international now, seem very important and kind of build good matches to it. So even Elimination Chamber will be good. All the lead up, all the SmackDown and Raws will be good. It is very exciting. It's going to be a good season.
Yeah, maybe they could go to Australia, and in this Sami Zayn spot, maybe they could bring back Shane Thorne in that Outback Crocodile Dundee gimmick that he did for like a week.
Oh, yes.
No. So what else we got going on here with WWE? What else was I going to talk about? Anything?
WWE? No, I think we're good.
Went through what we wanted to, I think. All right, so let's talk about some AEW stuff. We haven't done a show since last year, folks, before the world ended for one MJF. So I watched AEW World's End pay-per-view. I agree with most of the people that it was not their best show overall. There was definitely some bright spots. Second half of the show really picked up. Just they weren't really firing on all cylinders for whatever reason. And it's going to happen, especially when you've had so many great shows. Yeah. You're just going to have some that are not the best, right? So, but some of the bright spots, which we'll get to, we had Edge and Christian having this basically TLC match at the pay-per-view for the TNT title, which we'll get to. But we finally found out who the devil was And we also got a new AEW World Champion. So I definitely wanted to talk about that. So MJF put out this article in the Players Tribune ahead of the pay-per-view. So you have MJF, the World Champion. He's going into his hometown. I'm saying his hometown. It's obviously Long Island is not one town.
Yeah. No, it's fine.
His hometown crowd, friends and family on Long Island are there to watch MJF. And we learned leading up to this, which the funny thing is MJF in this article said, I'm sure it will all leak, and not a lot of it leaked, about how injured he was, where he has apparently some hip issues, and the biggest problem, I guess, is his shoulder injury that, according to Dave Meltzer, he's trying to rehab as opposed to get surgery. But MJF talked about a lot of stuff in this article. Talked about his career, his character, himself as a person, Judaism. He talked about some of the other folks in AEW. There were some statements in that article that, saying that some people were using AEW as a parachute between their failing WWE runs. That got me thinking who he might have been talking to. He had some okay things and not okay things to say about CM Punk. And basically, he did make a good point that whenever a big MJF moment happens, there's usually somebody else stealing the spotlight with some real-life drama or something else going on. So, and then, of course, obviously, leading up to that pay-per-view, we had the whole Chris Jericho shit that we're not going to talk about. But, so MJF writes this article, and he's kind of insinuating, he kept saying he doesn't know what the future holds, he doesn't know what's next. And it didn't really sound to me like he was doing the, I might be going to WWE shtick where he's talking about Bruce Pritchard's cell phone and all this stuff.
Yep.
He legitimately seemed like he was going to be out of the picture for a while. And that just made me think right away, okay, well, between the reveal of the Devil and just the way they've built up this match with Samoa Joe, I didn't think for 1 second MJF was leaving that pay-per-view as the AEW champion, which he did not. But he lost clean to Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe choked him unconscious. I thought that was great. I don't think anybody was disappointed though when Samoa Joe won the world championship. Do you?
No, I think that was a pretty good. I'm surprised. I'm not surprised because we all love Joe, but I'm glad that it happened that way. And it was just like a badass dude choked out MJF. That's how it goes sometimes. I
do think, if I remember correctly, I told you who I thought the next AEW champion was going to be.
Oh, he was on the list. And I remember very clearly.
It was Samoa Joe. Among 9 other people.
but still, he was on there and you were very adamant about it.
He was the one that I said, I do think Samoa Joe will be the next AEW champion. And I thought they built up the Samoa Joe portion perfectly with him taking out MJF, taking the title. Like I said, he choked out MJF. That was great. Then MJF is in the ring, just lost the Triple B, and out comes the Devil gimmick, which people did not necessarily like this whole Devil storyline. I didn't think it got to a point where it was ever terrible. Like I didn't think it was that bad. I think it's just not what the AEW fan base is used to. And I also think that things going on for more than like max 2 months, most wrestling fans probably just get bored of it.
Yes, I think that's true.
So I could understand why people didn't like the gimmick at all, the whole story of the Devil. Like I said, it never made me cringe with how terrible it was. And WWE stuff has definitely done that, obviously, in the past. So yeah. I just didn't see what all the fuss was about as far as the negativity goes. I didn't think it was groundbreaking, or I didn't think it was cinema or anything like that. I just didn't think it was that bad. And it kept us guessing, for sure. And I was a little bit surprised to see one of those fellows under the mask, but it does make sense if you really look at the big picture. With first, we got Adam Cole coming out. So he came out, so he was there at the show. So he had like a reason to be out there already. And I thought that the reveal was good because Adam Cole's already out there. And then the lights go out and you get the henchmen are in the ring, and right there, sitting in a chair, Adam Cole. He doesn't say, I'm the Devil. It doesn't come on the screen. I am the Devil. Nothing like that. You're just supposed to know. Adam Cole's sitting in the ring. This is the reveal. I thought they handled the reveal totally fine.
Sure.
And then the henchmen were Mike Kanellis, Wardlow, and so Matt Taven was one of the henchmen there. And yeah, so they formed the Undisputed Kingdom, which we later learned on the following Dynamite. But they took MJF out of the picture at this point, right? So MJF loses the championship. We got the devil reveal. Now he's gone away to hopefully heal, because apparently he was actually pretty, beat up, like I said, between the hip injury and the shoulder injury, which is crazy to think how many matches he wrestled. I mean, he and Kenny Omega, they wrestled on an episode of, I think, Collision for the AEW Championship a couple months ago. I mean, you got Kenny Omega. He's out here with diverticulitis, doesn't know it yet. MJF is so beat up. It's like, Jesus, these guys are walking wounded out here, and they're still putting on decent matches, Yeah. But it is crazy how many guys are injured, and just work through it. But MJF, hopefully, he's taking the time he needs. It was, I think, the right time when you combine, like, where the story was and also how injured he was. I thought it was the perfect time to write him off,
Yes. And I think he's the type of guy who's not going to, like, yeah, it sucks that he lost his title, especially in his hometown, or like you said, his home island. But he's the type who can go off TV for a while, and when he comes back, though, it's going to be even better. Like, people will be so excited, even if he's back to being like a douchebag heel. Like, it's going to be so refreshing to see him back after a hiatus. So it's going to be pretty good. I'm looking forward to it, and I hope he does heal. I hope it's not 9 months, but if it is, it is.
And, Triple H was a heel when he got injured, when he injured his quad in that on that match on Raw.
Yeah.
And he comes back, biggest pop of his career, right? That Triple H return was crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, as far as the devil goes, I think you're right. The reveal was good. Cole's great. No matter how you say about the skits or the vignettes or whatever, Cole's very good at doing this stuff. So I'm glad he's the guy, because he can really make it work. And I think if Cole didn't get injured, this would have wrapped up a little earlier. I think it's because he was injured. I don't think they couldn't go into like as fast as they wanted. And I think we have to realize that, because we don't want the reveal to be Vince McMahon. It's me all along, Austin, right? Like, it's like, would you have rather had them end it 2 months ago and have it be like, I don't know, Brandon Cutler or something stupid like that? No.
That would actually be amazing. They might actually be like, what? Brandon Cutler? Okay, yeah, whatever.
That's a good point. But I mean, I think it's all right. I mean, it's fine. The story's progressing now. We got it. Let's go.
That's why you need to be on the writing staff, Wrestling Fan Kris. Make the higher power Brandon Cutler. Yes.
That's my one and only day on the writing staff.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. They walk you right out. It's like thank you for interviewing. It's like interviewing. I thought you hired me.
Yeah.
It's like, well, sorry, pal. Anything if you once you write the name Brandon Cutler, you're fired.
Oh God.
But yeah, so I think that when MJF comes back, I think they have a few options, right? So let's say he has gone solid 9 months, which, first of all, anytime a wrestler says 9 months, they're back in 6, because none of these fucking guys know how to stay at home and heal.
Yeah.
The second they can fucking walk, they're back. So let's say he's gone, solid 6 to 9 months, where we're not even thinking about MJF, right? None of this rumor mill stuff where, like, MJF is an afterthought. Then, boom, he comes back. He's going to get the pop of the century, right?
Yes.
So then you have a few options, right? Then he gets this big baby face welcome back, right? That everybody dreams about when you come back from an injury. The crowd's just, oh, yeah, wow. But then 5 seconds later, he could turn heel, and it would be totally fine.
Yes.
Because, you don't want to have him come out as a heel, right? You got to get it out of the way, right? The return of MJF, and then he turns heel. Like I said, could literally be in the same promo. He comes out, says what he's got to say, and then says, and you all suck or whatever, and you're all fat.
Yeah. If anybody can do it, it's him.
So, and then you've got that, as long as Adam Cole, I mean, who knows? Adam Cole might be on the same recovery timeline as MJF at this point. That dude's ankle was so jacked up.
That's true.
He might, I don't know if he needs more surgeries or if they did it all already, but they have Adam Cole basically waiting for MJF, and I don't think that story needs the AEW Championship. You know?
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
So a lot of options when MJF comes back, but I do think it was the right time, especially with how injured he was, to get him off TV, because it's crazy. AEW has several high-profile injuries right now, right? You got Kenny Omega, MJF, a few other people are out, but it just allows them to just elevate so much talent, right? People like Swerve, Jay White, Samoa Joe, even though he's a OG. It just allows them to put the focus back on, some up-and-coming people, even just for a shorter period of time, right? Even if Omega is back, which I hope Omega is back just for his own health. I hope he's okay,
Yeah, me too. I think it's they're in a better spot now than, remember the last time they had this rash of injuries around the first Forbidden Door. They're in a better spot now, though, because we have guys like Swerve and Hangman who are kind of like back. I mean, Hangman's always been over, but like he's kind of back into the main event picture, and Swerve is definitely up and coming, and they're in a better position to have these guys kind of like main event if they need to,
Yeah, and you see Hangman's mustache. What a manly mustache that was. I got one growing here, too, just the same as Hangman's, just like it.
Mark.
Same thing. Same exact thing. Yeah, so I just want to talk about MJF before we kind of just get into 2024 and the train keeps moving. I just felt like that World's End whole program ending deserves some time on the show. And another match at World's End that we got to talk about was this. Did you know there was going to be a TLC match at World's End? Couldn't believe it. This match was incredible. Now, when you're watching a show, and this goes like for MMA, any kind of one of these like combat shows you're watching, where it can be exciting the whole way through, it can be boring the whole way through. When you go from this show is not that great, there's a match that it's like it goes into your veins. It's like you just chugged a Red Bull or something, right? Like you're just like, oh, this show, it's not the best, and then all of a sudden, you're like, I'm back. We're back. This match got me amped up at like 10 o'clock at night during World's End when I was about to fall asleep. So there was so much going on. These guys beat the hell out of each other in this match. Christian had bruises all over him, even a week later. This was the match that I knew we weren't going to get like this awesome match when they advertised them on Dynamite. Yep. I knew it was kind of like the beginning of them wrestling, but this was the one where they really just tore the house down, right? And then even with Nick Wayne, Luchasaurus, Mother Wayne, all these people being involved, it was still great. And we also got to see what happens to a flaming table when you don't slam somebody through it.
Yeah, huh?
The flame just goes out. That's it. No, that's probably what they want to happen, right? And you could tell they were killing that table with the lighter fluid. And then like Edge is trying to get more out of it. And it's like, if that flame from like 3 bottles of lighter fluid went up in 2 seconds, you're getting the last little squirts out of that lighter fluid. You're not going to have a big flame the second time around,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So the flame spot, it wasn't WrestleMania 22 or whatever with Foley and Edge, but they did it. They went back to it. And I mean, is there so this is, I heard somebody say like, oh, it was an homage to, WrestleMania 22. That I'm getting that right? The WrestleMania Edge versus Mick Foley hardcore match.
I think so, yes.
I think it was 22. But everybody knows the match I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But the way I look at it is every flaming table spot off the apron is an homage to that match, basically. Whether it's Edge or anybody else. It's not just, Edge did a callback. It's like, no, everyone is doing a callback to that. That's how epic that flaming table spot was with Foley and Edge.
It was WrestleMania 22, by the way. Good call.
Yep, because I definitely almost said 24. So Nick Wayne didn't go through a table, but he went like over a table. Like he went like his back and his upper back was like bounced off the fire which I was just curious because I knew it was like, you realize like, okay, Nick Wayne's, he's the guy today, right? Like he's the guy we're going to char and burn.
Yeah.
Like Kane when he was 10 years old or whatever. So yeah. And he just gets him up and he just kind of like hits the table and like, cause I mean, literally I've never been lit on fire. Well, I have, but not like in a wrestling match, just like with like, my friends, but I've never been thrown into a fire. But I would imagine that I would do the exact same thing that everyone I've ever seen go through a flaming table do, which is you haven't even hit the table yet and you're already trying to get the F out of there. You know what I mean? Like nobody sticks around on that flaming table and sells. Everyone is moving. They are getting the hell out of there. You do not want to be on fire.
No.
Was it Andrade who was on fire? Wasn't it like Cody and Andrade? Didn't they do a thing where Andrade's arm was like on fire during the pin or something? I think Cody and Andrade had a match and like I think Andrade stayed on fire. Or Cody did. One of them was like on fire during the 3 count.
I think it was Cody. Remember his back was all fucked up for like weeks?
Yeah, that's not good. So yeah, you don't want that. You wanna like touch the flames and you want to both the flames go away and you go away. Yeah. So you could tell Nick Wayne was just like, get me the fuck out of here.
I mean, it was still a brutal, like, I know he didn't catch the flame, but that was still a brutal, like hit he took, God. And
just knowing that you have to do that. And like, it's one thing when it's like the day of, like, okay, well, I guess I'm doing the fire spot. But like in the moments when it's like getting to be time for that spot, I can't imagine what would be going through Nick Wayne's head. Like, okay, I better be in the right spot so they can throw me down into this fire.
Yeah, it's like, and I remember when I saw One Night Stand 2. I know I'm cool, and they did a flaming table spot with Terry Funk and Edge and stuff, and it was hot. I was in the balcony, and it was so hot when that fire started. So I can imagine being on the apron, having to go through it. Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, I remember even just being a kid in like the stands, and Kane's corner post pyro would be hot.
Touche, yep.
And I would be like hundreds of feet away and you'd still feel the heat.
It's insane, yeah. It's crazy.
So, for sure. But yeah, so these guys had such an incredible match. And then Edge wins. I mean, Adam Copeland wins. And then all of a sudden, Luchasaurus, a.k.a. Kill Switch, a.k.a. Should we call him Unprettier? Unprettier? Because that's the original name of the move.
Yeah, I like that.
So the Unprettier dinosaur comes out, and he goes to cash in his contract that he won, which is like a TNT title shot anytime, any place. So now we're going from a TLC match to a Money in the Bank match, right? So he goes to cash it in. Christian's like, no, give it to me, give it to me. Then he whispers something, or he says something, like the Winter Soldier code word or something to Luchasaurus. And then Luchasaurus just coughs up the contract. Christian signs it, gets a match right then and there, and just quickly pins Adam Copeland, regaining the TNT Championship in 3 seconds. Didn't do much for me. I mean, I can see if you don't want Adam Copeland as the TNT Champion. And I guess as far as Christian's canon goes, he never lost the championship. And also his title reign started when Luchasaurus actually won the championship, not him. So I'm pretty sure that's the chronology. So Christian Cage, still the TNT champion. Does seem like these guys are going to kind of go away from each other to maybe come back together.
Yeah, I like Christian Cage, though. I know it was kind of a weird thing, but I like Christian Cage as that champion, as a TNT champion. I think he brings a lot of like gravitas to it, and he just talks a lot of crap, and it's great.
Yeah, for sure. He's on fire lately in AEW. Had one of the best years of his career, and we are now having to debate, thanks to primarily Christian, but Copeland has gotten in the mix as well in this debate with his Collision promo that he did, where who was actually better, Edge or Christian? Because obviously Edge went on main evented WrestleMania against The Undertaker, Hall of Fame career, multi-time world champion, comes back, main events WrestleMania again with Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan. Christian kind of, took a back seat to all of that, had to, ended up trying to go on his own, ended up in TNA as the TNA champion, kind of. Now, he just didn't get to those heights that Edge did. But now, it's almost like the tables have turned, and I don't know if it's revisionist history or not, but Christian says he was always better. And then Edge says, or Copeland says, he outworked Christian. He worked harder than Christian, which I don't know if that's humanly possible, to be honest. Yeah. Christian has been he's been outworking everybody his whole career, and for the past 2 years, he's been working everybody.
Yeah. Plus, you know what? When Christian was in TNA, he was the NWA world champion. He had the 10 pounds of gold, okay?
That's true. Yeah, I don't remember Sexton Hardcastle ever getting his hands on the 10 pounds of gold.
That's right. And I've always liked Christian more, and I feel so happy right now. Speaking
of Sexton Hardcastle, Kennedy Copeland? She wrestled on the AEW show, and they changed her name to Kennedy Hardcastle.
That's very nice. I did see that. I think that's great.
I thought it was great. But yeah, so we had to carve out some time, basically for a Christian Cage segment, now featuring Adam Copeland. But then we got Mother Wayne. You have any thoughts on Mother Wayne here?
I don't know. Well, I don't know what's gonna happen.
I feel like she's got to take some type of a bump, right?
Oh, you can't be involved in the story and not take a bump. Yeah,
but I feel like she's probably, I don't know her situation, but I feel like she's probably capable of taking a bump. Her husband was a wrestler, rest his soul, Buddy Wayne, and her son, Nick Wayne, rest his soul, also was a wrestler. Until he got lit on fire for 0.5 seconds.
Yeah, I think you don't get involved unless you're like, I'm just gonna take a bump. I'll learn. It's in my blood.
She's trying to be a pretty big time heel here, So she at first it was like, what kind of heel are you gonna be? Right? Are you gonna be the kind of heel that's like a Dixie Carter kind of heel, where it's like, we don't want to watch you, or are we going to grow to love you as a heel, which I think is probably what's going to happen. I think this woman's going to get under a lot of people's skin, and I think that somebody's going to have to give her a spear or something. I think someone's going to have to either give her a spear or a glam slam.
Nice. I thought you were going to say like an edge-o-matic or whatever one of those stupid things are called.
A educator. She's going to get an educator.
Oh, glams! I hear. Oh, I'm sorry. I glossed right over that. I get what you're saying. A glam slam. I see where you're headed at. Where your head's at. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Seems like it's possible, that we could bring some more people into the mix here.
That's probably where it's headed. I mean, do you really think that Christian and Edge are kind of or Copeland are going to kind of go their separate ways now, or I don't know. It seems like they're going to continue. I don't know though.
I think they're gonna take a break and come back together, whether they join forces and they're both like a heel tag team, because there is no way you turn Christian Cage babyface.
You can't. Yeah, you can't.
First of all, you're right. You can't. And two, you can't do it in one day. Like, there are times where you can turn somebody just in a conversation. Like MJF he kind of turned babyface in that promo where he was shitting on Tony Khan like a couple years ago at the forum, right?
Yeah.
He kind of turned babyface. What did he say? I said it before on the show. He was like, I don't remember what he said, but I was like, if you say that, you're an instant babyface. But, so it's possible to turn someone babyface, basically, but not Christian. It would take months for him. I mean, I guess if they did a hug, like an emotional hug, like maybe they have another brutal battle, and then at the end they hug, like the blood brother hug kind of a thing. It's like, oh, I guess you could kind of do that. But otherwise, it's going to take a lot to turn Christian babyface. So I'm saying that to say I think it would be easier to turn Mr. Copeland a heel.
I would like that too, because I think that he's better at that. So is Christian. So them running around being kind of like a-holes, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, well, never mind. A lot of options in AEW for a heel edge.
Oh, yeah.
So, all right, what else can we talk about here? Oh, before we get out of here, we got to talk about this big rumor. At this point, it's just news that Mercedes Mone is likely headed to AEW. And as I said at the top of the show, by the time you're listening to this, we may have already had a Mercedes Mone debut in AEW, and not just sitting in the crowd at All In or wherever she was.
Yeah.
But yes, it appears, especially according to reports from Sean Ross Sapp, that she was in talks with WWE. Those talks broke down, and then she was in talks with AEW, and now there's reports on both sides. I mean, the reports on the WWE side are basically, I think Sean Ross Sapp said that some people in WWE think that because CM Punk was recently kept a secret, that Mercedes could also be kept a secret until the Royal Rumble, because it's right around the corner, and it's the perfect time to keep somebody a secret and have them return at the Royal Rumble.
True.
But then, I don't remember if it was Sean Ross Sapp or somebody else reported that somebody from AEW had said, like, if you don't think we're in the hunt, you're crazy. And here's the thing. That was the only thing that actually made me think she's not going there, or it's not official, was just because if you do have Mercedes locked down, if you're about to sign her, you don't ruin that. You would probably want to keep that a secret. And I mean, not a full-on secret where nobody actually knows, but you wouldn't want to do anything that could potentially change that.
Yeah.
Meaning, like, you don't want to say, we've got Mercedes coming to AEW, and the plan for her is we're going to put her in a match against Britt Baker. And then all of a sudden, maybe Mercedes reads that, or Britt Baker reads that and starts tweeting, and then Mercedes gets pissed off, and then the deal, like, things can happen before the deal is done. So if you're AEW, why would you say, oh, if you don't think we're in the hunt, you're crazy? Wouldn't you just want to bring her out there? If you win, if you get her, you win the day. She's on your show.
Yeah,
that's the final product, is you sign her, and then you show everybody that you're in the hunt, right? Saying so ahead of time, it's kind of like, reminds me of the art of war. Appear strong when you are weak and appear weak when you are strong. It's not really appearing strong if you're saying, like, yeah, we're in the hunt to get Mercedes.
Yes.
That's the only thing that made me think maybe it's not set in stone, but I actually do think overall that it's likely.
Yeah, I think it's a lot easier when, like, I guess she's not really signed either. She's kind of like out in there in the ether too. And I was going to say, it's a little easier with Punk to say, no, he's not going to WWE than to say, like, Mercedes is going to AEW. I think it's easier to hide. It's easier to, like, deny and, like, keep secret a report that you're not going somewhere than to, like, have a report come out that say you are going somewhere and having that be false. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, I kind of believe the Sean Ross report was right, or whatever the hell he said, The
Sean Ross story was true.
There it is, yeah. I kind of tend to believe him in that because, like I said, it's a lot easier to, like, hide a report that you're not going somewhere than to have, like, a false report of someone signing. It's kind of weird. I think it's happening.
Yeah, I think so too, but you just never, if it's not official, you never know, especially with these, right. With DX now, these guys are sneaky, I
also heard, I don't know if this is true, but I did hear that she was asking for a lot of money, and then maybe Paul comes over and goes, listen, here's the money you wanted. And she's like, okay, see ya, and goes to WWE. Who knows?
Well, I guarantee you she was asking for a lot of money.
I just also find it hard to believe that this would be this, like, the second time in, like, 4 months that WWE kept something such a secret and, like, so hidden. I just can't buy into that. There's no way they can do it twice.
Well, if they do, if Mercedes shows up at the Royal Rumble, then I already know who's going to be at the next Saudi show. Okay? They're going to get the big names. Okay? No one is off limits. They are going to get the dream match booked of Yokozuna versus the Ultimate Warrior. Anything's possible under this new regime.
If anyone could do it, it'd be Comics Call Paul, Nick Khan.
It would be the necromancer known as Triple H. Yeah, but back to Mercedes and not the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
I do think she'll be in AEW, but like you were saying, Punk, they just did a surprise with Punk. It actually wouldn't surprise me if they did it again, because I feel like at this point, especially with The Rock coming back, like think about it. You could possibly have a WrestleMania that has CM Punk and The Rock on it. Like that's, like you could have anything, anyone.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, but just because between they're not really constrained financially, and I feel like they're less held down by maybe Vince McMahon's like ideas about how things should go or how much money someone should make, or somebody's view that somebody isn't as valuable as they seem, kind of a thing. You know, I feel like that hindrance is definitely gone. And also, just in general, once something gets to a certain level of like popularity and being really viral, then all of a sudden, all those people that you tried to get, they actually want to come to you now. So then it's like The Rock, like I was saying about how it could be, they could have done this match any one of the past like 6 years. Well, over the past 6 years, WWE hasn't been as popular and cool, I guess, as it is now. You know, relatively speaking, it was like The Rock will be looking at this as, I'm the biggest star in Hollywood. You know, do I need to go to that show or not? And it's like kind of a no most years. But now they're the hottest show in town, kind of a thing, you know? So all kinds of people could, you know, maybe Stone Cold Steve Austin. Maybe I'm trying to just will this into existence.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get that fourth matchup at WrestleMania between The Rock and the Rattlesnake. No.
Take it easy.
Yeah, no, we can't. We don't. Let's not ruin it, right?
Yeah. Let's
leave the memories alone.
Yes, please.
All right, so we should probably wrap this thing up here. But so let me get this straight. Is the cat in the room with you?
No.
Okay, that's fine then. I was just going to say, if you've had that cat by your side this entire show, that doesn't work for me, brother.
I'm like Dr. Evil.
Well, seeing as how Wrestling Fan Kris is neglecting his cat, I'm going to mute him. And that about does it for this episode of Watch Wrestling with Mike Wellman. Thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for hanging out until the end of the show. We appreciate you here, as always. You already know where to find this podcast because you already found this podcast. Apple, Google, Spotify, Stitcher. Stitcher's not real anymore. What am I talking about? Google Plus. I don't know where you find podcasts. But thank you for checking out Watch Wrestling with Mike Wellman. 2024. It's a cabal. It's a conspiracy. It's a consortium. What does this button do?
Watch Wrestling with Mike Wellman. Help me.
Somebody hit somebody! Won't open? Won't open. Not this one. Not this one. None of them open. Still selling fake doors. We have fake doors like you wouldn't believe. What are you worried about? Come get fake doors. Call us up and order some fake doors today. Don't even hesitate. Don't even worry. And don't even give it a second thought.